All right, so get this. You sent us a movie script
Oh, this sounds good.
about a zombie apocalypse.
Okay.
Okay. Not that unusual, right?
Yeah, we've seen that before.
But wait for it. These zombies are fueled by a fitness craze. Zumba, to be exact.
A fitness shake turning people into ravenous monsters.
Yeah.
Color me intrigued.
Right.
We've seen viruses, bacteria, even radiation.
Yeah.
But a workout drink, that's a new one.
Right. So is this just a wacky horror flick? Or are there some real-world parallels we can uncover?
Let's find out.
Let's dive into the script, starting with our main character, Maya, a reporter who's seen it all.
Okay.
And is definitely not buying into the whole Zumba hype.
Makes sense.
She's assigned to cover this class led by Sarah, who's, well, let's just say her enthusiasm outweighs her actual fitness knowledge.
I think that dynamic between Maya and Sarah is really interesting.
Yeah.
You have Maya, the cynical reporter, almost bored by this assignment.
Right.
And Sarah, who's desperately trying to make this class into something transformative.
Totally. And the script really captures that through their dialogue.
Oh, I love when they do that.
Maya describes Sarah's whole vibe as desperation that smells like cheap hairspray mixed with unmet dreams.
Ouch.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
The class itself is strangely lethargic. This isn't the high-energy Zumba we're used to seeing.
Right.
It's almost like they're already drained, setting the stage for something off.
You know, that actually makes me think about those energy drinks that promise to make you feel invincible.
Oh, yeah.
They're packed with stimulants and sugar, but ultimately they just lead to a crash.
Yeah.
What if Energize X, this neon green protein shake they introduce, is playing on that same desire for a quick fix?
Whoa. I see where you're going with this.
Yep.
And wouldn't you know it, Maya is immediately suspicious of this so-called revolutionary drink.
Why?
She even calls it out, saying it reeks of shady artificial sweeteners and glowing warnings.
Uh-oh.
She pockets a sample like the true investigative reporter she is.
Classic. Maya. I admire her skepticism.
Right.
But what I find fascinating is how the class reacts to the shake.
Oh, yeah?
They go from hesitant to practically guzzling it down like they're desperate for any kind of energy boost.
It's like a switch flips.
Yeah.
They're looking for that edge, that shortcut to fitness and energy,
Right.
and they think this shake is the answer.
It reminds me of those fad diets that promise miracle results with minimal effort.
Yeah.
People are always searching for the easy way out.
Sure.
And that can make them vulnerable to scams and, well, potentially zombie-inducing protein shakes.
Okay, and speaking of zombies, what happens next is straight out of a horror movie. This Zumba class transforms into these cardio freaks. Their dance moves turn into aggressive lunges, and they're driven by this unnatural hunger.
Oh, no.
And get this, that sickly sweet scent from the shake is now clinging to them. It's like a marker of their transformation.
That vivid imagery really drives home the horror of the situation.
Yeah.
We go from a seemingly harmless fitness class to a scene of pure chaos and terror in the blink of an eye. It makes you wonder, what if those seemingly harmless products we consume every day had hidden consequences we couldn't even imagine?
Right. And amidst this chaos, we're introduced to Ben, the sound guy. Talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Oh my gosh.
But here's the twist. He discovers that loud, chaotic music can actually stun these cardio freaks.
That's a fascinating detail.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how sound is used in our daily lives. We have white noise machines for sleep upbeat music, for workouts, even calming music for stressful situations. But to think it could be weaponized against these cardio freaks,
Right.
it makes you wonder about the potential power of sound we often take for granted.
Totally. But this isn't just mindless zombie mayhem. Maya, always the reporter, starts digging deeper.
Okay.
She discovers a connection between Energize X and a scientific facility disguised as a warehouse. It's like she's uncovering a real-life conspiracy.
Yeah, it's where this story takes a darker turn, don't you think?
Yeah.
It goes from a fitness scam to something far more sinister.
Right.
Potential large-scale experiment gone wrong.
Right.
It makes you question how far we're willing to push the boundaries of science.
Yeah.
And what happens when those experiments have unintended consequences?
And speaking of consequences, Maya was tailing these Energize X goons, and guess what? It turns out they were blasting music in their supposed lab.
What?
But it wasn't just any music. They were listening to slowed down, distorted nursery rhymes.
No, that's creepy.
Yeah.
It adds a whole new level of psychological manipulation to the mix. Think about it. We associate nursery rhymes with innocence, with childhood.
Uh-huh.
To twist that into something sinister is just unsettling.
Right. So we have a zombie outbreak fueled by a fitness craze. a secret lab experimenting with sound manipulation, and a reporter who's stumbled onto something way bigger than she bargained for.
Wow.
What happens next?
I don't know.
You'll have to tune into part 2 to find out.
Welcome back. Last we left off, Maya had uncovered a pretty disturbing connection between this Energize X and a secret lab experimenting with sound.
It's like they've stepped into a real-life conspiracy thriller, right? And it turns out they're not the only ones catching on. Sarah, the ever-so-peppy Zumba instructor, is starting to realize this is more than just a bad batch of protein shakes. She's noticed how those Energize X fans seem to attract the infected almost like moths to a disturbingly rhythmic flame.
I think it's a turning point for all of them.
Yeah.
They're moving past just reacting to the outbreak and starting to really understand it, trying to find the source.
Right.
It's a classic element of these zombie stories, the shift from pure survival to investigation.
Totally. And it's not just about figuring things out, it's about fighting back. Then our sound guy becomes a one-man resistance movement.
Wow.
He starts using his skills to try and weaponize music against the cardio freaks. He even calls it his symphony of sweet payback, which, knowing how quiet he usually is, shows just how determined he is.
You know what's really striking here is how the script explores the power of music, not just for entertainment, but as this potential tool for control and manipulation.
Right.
We see it with the distorted nursery rhymes. And now Ben's trying to counter that with his own sonic creations. It makes you think about the ethics of sound, how easily something we usually enjoy could be used in such a different way.
For sure.
Huh.
But Ben's facing some serious limitations. He's got dwindling power supplies, scavenged equipment, and, oh yeah, the constant threat of these dance-crazed zombies. Talk about a high-pressure gig.
It highlights that resourcefulness you see in so many post-apocalyptic stories.
Yeah.
They have to get creative, adapt, make do with what they have. It's almost inspiring to see human ingenuity, even in the face of such chaos.
Absolutely. And their ingenuity takes an interesting turn when they decide to shift gears to go from defense to offense. They realize surviving isn't enough. They have to target the source of Energize X, the people behind it all.
That's a huge change in mindset, going from reactive to proactive.
Yeah.
It's risky, considering how little they have and the scale of this whole conspiracy.
But desperation can be a powerful motivator. They want to survive, but they also want to reclaim their city. Stop this madness from spreading. They're becoming these unlikely heroes driven by responsibility and, let's be real, a good dose of fear.
It really shows how ordinary people can rise to a challenge when pushed to their limits.
Yeah.
Heroism isn't always about grand gestures. Sometimes it's just refusing to give up to keep fighting, even when things seem impossible.
And that fight gets even more urgent when Sarah, who's been watching the Energize X operation, discovers something truly chilling. The music they're using to control the infected. It's not random. It's carefully chosen, manipulated, refined. She describes it as nursery rhymes turned into a horror movie soundtrack.
That detail is bone-chilling.
I know.
They're not just using sound. They're actively experimenting, looking for the most effective ways to manipulate behavior.
Right.
It raises serious ethical questions about the potential misuse of sound technology, especially in the wrong hands.
And it seems those wrong hands are getting bolder.
Oh,
Sarah warns it's only going to get a lot worse out there. The stakes are rising, the threat becoming more insidious by the day.
it underlines the urgency of what Maya and Ben are trying to do.
Yeah.
They're not just fighting for themselves anymore. They're trying to prevent a full-blown catastrophe.
Yeah.
Their actions could have huge consequences, maybe even determining the fate of their whole city.
So armed with this knowledge and fueled by a shared sense of desperation, they set off on this incredibly risky mission. They're going to infiltrate the Energize X operation, confront the people behind this whole outbreak, and try to stop it at the source.
Good for them.
But what's waiting for them inside that den of twisted science and sound manipulation? That's a story for Spall. Part 3 of our deep dive. Stay tuned because things are about to get intense. Okay, so we're back, and Maya and Ben are heading right into the belly of the beast, the heart of this whole Energize X operation.
Well, it really is like David and Goliath, isn't it? I mean, they've got some tech. Yeah, and Ben's got his music, but they're going up against this huge organization.
Yeah, but they're not giving up, are they? They really want to expose what's going on, hold these people accountable. They become these symbols of resistance against this whole idea of being controlled by this company.
It's inspiring.
Yeah.
They could have just walked away, but they decided to fight back to try to change things, and that's what makes them heroes.
Totally. And the deeper they get into this whole thing, the more we see how messed up this Energize X operation is. I mean, they weren't just making some workout drink. They were doing experiments on people.
Oh, wow.
Using sound to control them, turning them into, mindless consumers.
Makes you think, doesn't it? About all the ways people try to get us to buy stuff or, even think a certain way.
Yeah, like where do you draw the line between just advertising and actually like manipulating people?
Right. It's a good question to think about.
And in the end, Maya and Ben, they use what they know to fight back.
I love that.
Ben uses his music, his symphony of sweet payback to like scramble their control signals, and Maya, she gets proof, evidence of what they were doing.
So they use the stuff that was meant to control people to turn things around.
Yeah, it's really cool. But it wasn't easy. They had to make some tough choices.
I bet.
They shut the whole thing down, broke the control over the infected people.
That's amazing.
But it doesn't really end there, does it? It's like this whole experience changed things. The lines are blurred now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It makes you wonder what else is out there. Like what other ways people are being manipulated without even realizing it.
So what did you think about all this? What really stuck with you?
Well, for me, it was about, being careful what you believe and who you trust.
Yeah, we've got to be critical, think for ourselves, pay attention to who's trying to influence us.
And don't be afraid to make a difference. Like, even if it seems impossible, one person can change things.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive.
That was a good one.
But, keep thinking about this stuff. Talk about it. What are your aha moments? Because it's more important than ever to pay attention and be informed.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Stay curious and never stop asking questions.
All right. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.